fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The scent of damp earth and something akin to burnt sugar hung heavy in the air, clinging to my tunic and the damp strands of my hair. "Welcome to Aethelgard," Alara said, her voice a low, melodic hum that seemed to vibrate through the very stones beneath our feet. Alara, the curator of Aethelgard, she was breathtaking. All sharp angles and fierce emerald eyes, framed by a cascade of dark, braided hair that reached the small of her back. Her movements were fluid, graceful, hinting at a wildness tamed but never extinguished. She was a woman carved from the very heart of the forest, and I, Anya, the newest recruit, felt utterly insignificant beside her. "Aethelgard is more than a zoo, Anya," she continued, her gaze sweeping over the sprawling landscape of lush greenery and meticulously constructed habitats. "It is a sanctuary, a haven for creatures that have nowhere else to go, creatures misunderstood, feared, and hunted to the brink of extinction." I swallowed, trying to keep the nervousness from lacing my own voice. I read the literature, I understand the mission. Alara stopped, turning to face me fully. Her eyes, usually so distant and assessing, softened just a fraction. "Understanding the mission on paper is one thing, Anya, living it is another." She gestured towards a massive enclosure in the distance, partially obscured by ancient trees. "We begin with the griffins." As we approached, the air grew thick with the smell of ozone and raw meat. Two magnificent griffins, their feathers shimmering like molten gold and their eyes burning with ancient wisdom, observed us from their perch atop a rocky outcrop. "These are Ayla and Astra," Alara said, her voice hushed with reverence. "They were orphaned as fledglings, rescued from poachers. They are sensitive. Respect them." I nodded, my throat suddenly dry. I'd always been fascinated by mythical creatures, but seeing them in the flesh, feeling the sheer power radiating from them, was a completely different experience. It was intoxicating and terrifying. Over the next few weeks, Alara became my guide, my mentor, and something else I couldn't quite define. She showed me the intricacies of each habitat, the specific needs of each creature. We cared for shimmering sylphs with wings like stained glass, nursed wounded kelpies back to health, and even ventured into the shadowy depths of the cave where a lonely basilisk resided. Alara was a demanding teacher, pushing me to my limits. She expected perfection, but she also recognized and rewarded hard work and genuine compassion. Slowly, I began to earn her respect, and with it, a glimpse into the woman beneath the curator's stoic facade. I learned about her childhood, spent wandering the forests with her grandmother, a renowned healer. I learned about the tragedy that had led her to dedicate her life to protecting these creatures, the loss of her sister to a rogue werewolf attack. I saw the vulnerability in her eyes, the pain that she carried like a weight. One evening, after a particularly grueling day tending to a flock of injured fae, we found ourselves sitting by the lake, the moon casting a silvery glow on the water. The air was still and quiet, broken only by the gentle chirping of nocturnal insects. "Thank you, Anya," Alara said, her voice barely a whisper, "for your hard work, for your understanding." I really looked at her, and saw not just the curator, not just the woman with the fierce eyes and the braided hair, but a woman who was hurting, a woman who was lonely, a woman who needed something. I reached out hesitantly and touched her hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, surprisingly delicate. She flinched slightly but didn't pull away. "Alara," I said, my voice trembling, I understand more than you think." Her gaze met mine, and for a moment I felt like I was drowning in the depths of her emerald eyes. There was a flicker of something there, something hopeful, and then, just as quickly, it was gone. She pulled her hand away. "We should get back, it's getting late." The rejection stung, but I didn't let it show. I knew that breaking through Alara's walls would take time, patience. She was a creature as wild and untamed as the ones she protected, and I wasn't about to scare her away. Weeks turned into months, the seasons shifted. Autumn painted the forests in hues of gold and crimson, and then winter arrived, cloaking Aethelgard in a blanket of snow. The bond between Alara and I deepened, slowly, painstakingly. We shared quiet moments, stolen glances, the comfortable silence that only comes with true understanding. One frigid evening, we were called to the Cerberus enclosure. A blizzard was raging, and the three-headed beast was agitated, pacing restlessly. Alara, ever fearless, entered the enclosure alone, hoping to calm the creature. I watched from the outside, my heart pounding in my chest. The wind howled, the snow swirled, and for a moment I lost sight of her. And then I heard it, a roar unlike anything I'd ever heard before, a roar of pain, of rage, of utter despair. I didn't hesitate. I threw open the gate and plunged into the blizzard. I found Alara pinned beneath the Cerberus, one of its massive paws crushing her chest. Its three heads were snapping and snarling, their eyes glowing with malevolent glee. "Alara," I screamed, my voice lost in the wind. I knew I couldn't fight the Cerberus. I wasn't strong enough, but I couldn't leave her there to die. Desperate, I did the only thing I could think of. I reached out and I poured all of my energy, all of my love, all of my hope into Alara. And then something extraordinary happened. A wave of energy surged through me, a power I never knew I possessed. The air crackled with electricity. The Cerberus recoiled, whimpering. And Alara's eyes snapped open. They were glowing with the same emerald light that surrounded me. Together we rose to face the beast. But the Cerberus wasn't our only problem. As the blizzard raged, the wards protecting Aethelgard began to fail. Creatures were escaping their enclosures, running wild in the storm. And worse, whispers began to reach us of dark figures lurking on the outskirts of the sanctuary, figures drawn by the scent of magic and chaos. "They're here for the Wildheart," Alara said, her voice grim as we huddled together in the main lodge, the sounds of howling beasts echoing in the distance. "They always have been." "The Wildheart, what is that?" I asked, fear gripping my heart. Alara looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resignation. "It's a legend, Anya, a power that can control all magical creatures, a power that resides within someone, within us." She reached out and took my hand, her touch sending a jolt of electricity through my veins. I think it resides in you, Anya." "But what does that mean?" "It means they'll stop at nothing to get to you, and it means we have to fight." We prepared for battle, gathering every available weapon and rallying the remaining staff. But as we stood there, facing the impending darkness, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning, that the storm was only the harbinger of a much greater conflict. And as I looked into Alara's eyes, I knew that no matter what happened, I would stand by her side, because she wasn't just my mentor or my friend, she was something more, something destined. Just as the first of the dark figures crashed through the gates of Aethelgard, a guttural roar ripped through the air. It was unlike anything I'd ever heard before, primal and untamed. And from the depths of the forest, something massive and shadowy began to emerge. Something with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp claws. Something that bowed its head to Alara with something akin to respect. "What is that?" I whispered. Alara's lips curved into a grim smile. "That, Anya, is my family." She locked eyes with me. "And it seems like they've finally accepted you as one of their own." As the werewolves lunged into the fray, I knew this was more than just a fight for Aethelgard. It was a fight for our survival, for our love, and for the very fate of the magical world.